Q2W5 Wednesday. Thank goodness, right? So number one, we have 1 plus 8n equals 13 plus 6n. Again, do not do it on the box on your column paper. You have to do it on line paper. I like to have my ends all on the left side of the equal sign, so I'm going to move my 1. If it's a positive 1, I'm going to make it a negative 1. I'm adding the additive inverse. They cancel each other out, and a positive 13 and a negative 1 becomes what? 12. Can I, on the same line, now move my 6 over?
Yes.
You can, or you can make a different line, but I'm just going to now move my 6n, because it's a positive, so it's going to be negative to both sides. So these cancel each other out, and 8n minus 6n makes 2n. Then I want to box up my n and divide by 2 on both sides. So n equals 6. Number 2. In the problem to the left, so see, this is why we have to write down all the answers so you can go back and use this word. Jana has $60. If tax is 5%, will she have enough money left over to purchase a $12 movie ticket? Okay, so yesterday it said Jana sees the tag on a $70 handbag. How much is the new price of the bag? Which would have been 35% off. So her price of the bag was $45.50, correct?
Yes.
Okay, so that was the price of the bag. But now it says she has to pay sales tax of 5%. So I'm gonna take this times 0.05 because that's my 5%, right? How many of you took it times 1.05? That's fine, because then that means you just don't have to add it later. So I'm going to take 5 times 0 is 0, 5 times 5 is 25, 5 times 5 is 25, 26, 27. 5 times 4 is 20, plus 2 makes 22. I have 1, 2, 3, 4 decimal places, 1, 2, 3, 4 decimal places. If this is money, we don't go to the thousandths place, do we? No, so let's underline the 7, arrow to the right, so it would really be 2.28, $2.28 for sales tax. So I go back to my original amount, which was $45.50, add my $2.28. Those of you that multiplied it by 1.05 are skipping this step. So the new cost of the handbag was $47.78. Now I want to buy a $12 movie ticket. So I'm going to add $12. So it would now cost $59.78, and it asks, Jana has $60. Will she have enough money? The answer is going to be yes.
Yeah,
Barely, but that's enough. Yes.
What I did is whenever I got the 47.78, I just subtracted it from 60 and saw that that was more than 12.
Oh, that's fine too. Yep. Alright, number 3. 10 minus 3x is greater than a negative 23. Draw your line. I'm going to box up my negative 3x because I don't want to move my x. How do I move my 10? Subtract. Minus 10 to both sides. These cancel each other out. I'm left with a negative 3x is greater than, these are both negative, so I'm just adding, and it becomes a negative 33. Then I'm going to box up my x. Divide by a negative 3, divide by a negative 3. Negative 33 divided by a negative 3 is a positive 11. Then I have my x, but what do I do with my sign? Switch it because I divided by a negative. Don't forget to switch 7 is greater than G minus 21. Draw my line, and I'm just gonna leave G alone here. E, I'll switch them later. So I'm gonna add 21, add 21, so I have these cancel each other out, G is left alone here, my sign stays the same. I have a negative and a positive, so that means I really need to subtract, so it's 21 minus 7, and it's going to be positive or negative? Positive, so I have 14 is greater than G, and I need to actually change it and make it G is less than 14. Make sure you rearrange those to put the letter first. If you don't, on the quiz, it's going to be counted wrong at this point, because we've done enough of these. Number 5, write an inequality that represents the phrase, anything less than a GPA of 3.7 is not good enough. So what I want is this is my GPA, and it needs to be greater than or equal to 3.7. Do you guys understand that that's what X stands for, is your GPA? Okay. John drove 432 miles on 20 gallons of gas. How many miles did he get per gallon? This is a ratio, mile per gallon. So then I set it up, 432 miles in 20 gallons. Then I do 432 divided by 20. 20 goes into 43 twice. 20 goes into 32 once. Add a decimal, bring it up. Add a 0, bring it down. 20 goes into 120 6 times exactly. And so it would be 21.6 miles per gallon. You must have a label. If you do not have a label, they will be wrong on the quiz on Friday. And like I told you guys yesterday, when we're working with rates, you want to make it into a decimal. Don't leave it as like a mixed number. 7, John walked 8 miles in 3 hours. Jim walked 14 miles in 5 hours. Are these rates in proportion? If no, who walked faster? Okay, so I am going to go back. John walked 8 miles in 3 hours, and Jim walked 14 miles in 5 hours. There's a couple of different ways to make them, to see if they're proportional or not. The first thing is you can make them having equal or common denominators, and then I compare the fractions. So a common denominator of, like, so I have 8 thirds and 14 fifths, a common denominator would be 15, right? So 8 times 5 is 40, so I'm going to compare 40 fifteenths. Guys, I need you to be writing this down to show your work. You can't just guess and say, this person did better. 14 times 3 is 42 fifteenths. So then I'm comparing 40 fifteenths to 42 fifteenths. Are they proportional? Proportional means they would be the exact same fraction. Are they exact same fraction? So they're not, okay? And then, so who would be faster, the 40 fifteenths or the 42 fifteenths? So then that way it would be Jim. Another way, and I want everybody making sure, like I said, you need to be writing this stuff out, because when I walked around and looked at your guys' paper, you were not writing things out. Another way to see if something is proportional is I write 8 thirds times 14 fifths. I take 3 times 14, what's 3 times 14? 42, right? And 8 times 5 is 40. Are these equal? So they're not proportional. So you can do that to figure out if they're proportional or not, but you can't figure that out to figure out who's faster. Yes.
I found the unit rate.
So you did 8 divided by 3 and 14 divided by 5?
Yeah.
That'll work. Yeah. And what was 8 divided by 3?
2.67.
2.6 repeated.
Okay, so that was 2.6. And what was 14 divided by 5?
2.8.
And then you compare those. That'd be fine also. Number 8. Which pair of ratios does not form a true proportion? Okay, proportion means that they're equal to each other. So I have, and some of you, I walked around and I said, how come you don't have anything? And some people said, I don't understand it. Well, that means you better be writing it down. This is our chapter. So 8,
We can't see it.
oh, thank you. So I have 8 to 14 and 20 to 35. How, can I find a I can find a common denominator by not always multiplying, right? I'm gonna find this common denominator by dividing by 2. Cause that's 4/7 on this side, so my common denominator is going to be 7. So what do I have to divide over here? By 5. And I get 4/7. So 4/7 is equivalent to 4/7. So that forms a true proportion. Then I have the fraction 6 to 10 and 15 to 25. I'm just gonna use 50 real fast. Or can I use 5? I can use 5 too, couldn't I? Does it matter which one I use? It really doesn't, as long as you have a common denominator. So if I use 5, I'm gonna divide this by 2, and I get 3 to 5. I'm gonna divide this by 5, and I get 3 to 5. So is that a true proportion? Yes, because 3/5 is equal to 3/5. Then I have 9/5 to 27/15. I'm gonna use my common denominator of 5, so I'll just divide this side by, oh, I can't. Yeah, I can divide by 3. So that becomes 9/5. Do these form a true? Yes. So D must be my answer, but let's show the work on why that is the answer. So I have 12 to 15 and 30 to 50. Common denominator, we're gonna use 5 again. So I divide this by 3, and I get 4 to 5. I said I'm using 5, so I have to divide this by 10, and I get 3 to 5. So is 4 to 5 and 3 to 5 proportional? No. So D is the answer, because that one is not proportional. So proportional basically is just saying you're making them equivalent fractions. Can they become equivalent fractions? And it's not always, and they have to have a common denominator, and it's not always by multiplying. You can do it also by dividing. Go ahead and take a picture and submit it